Searching podcasts for Dave, and one more time.
As Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart once wrote, "You have so many relationships in this life, only one or two will last. You go through all the pain and strife, then you turn your back and they're gone so fast. Oh, so hold on to the ones who really care. In the end, they'll be the only ones there. When you get old, start losing your hair. Can you tell me who will still care? Or was that Hanson? Same difference. This is Dave and Juan.
And 3.
Number 2.
Follow it up with a 1.
And that's followed up by
Woohoo! All that stuff. In America, you know it. You.
Hey, you're welcome,
are
man.
welcome. That's the step beyond welcome. We are glad to be back. Glad to be here with you. Well, who are we? Hi, everybody. How are you? I'm Dave.
I'm Juan.
And this is Dave and Juan.
More time.
There you go. Those of you that are denying yourself the lovely visuals of Juan and myself, we did not coordinate. Yeah, we look like a couple of Johnny Cash wannabes up here. The Men in Black. Was that the We Are the Men in Black? Wasn't that
that from the movie? I don't know.
Yeah. Didn't Will Smith?
Never saw it.
You never saw the movie Men in Black?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No.
well, that's actually pretty. I think they're all anything with Tommy Lee Jones in it is good. Yeah, the first one, as is always, they taper off toward the end, but yeah, the first one's a class, great, good stuff. But well, we're not going to play that game of what have you seen, what haven't you seen, but
No, I don't know. I have to check it out. Last night, last minute thing. My wife and daughter went to a play at my wife's high school. Footloose, the musical.
Footloose, the music.
Yeah, they do. They get like an orchestra that comes in and everything when they do plays there.
Okay.
But that left me home alone with nothing to do. So it's like, okay, what am I going to watch now?
Okay. So is your your daughter was just watching the play. She's not.
Yeah, she's not in it, right. Yeah, she just wants to see it. She has some friends in it.
Okay. Yeah, these high school productions are they're pretty out there, man.
Dude, if you would see the costumes, the sets, and everything, like I said, there's an orchestra pit in the theater.
What's funny is they're doing Footloose like we would have done Shakespeare. That's about the gap in, they look at, and I guess to them, right? Footloose was a movie that came out, 20 years before any of them were born?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it might be 40 years old. I mean, it was in the 80s.
Does your daughter know that you were actually a real life Kevin Bacon back in high school?
No,
organizing
that.
your own dance, but not for the same reasons Footloose had their dances.
Speaking of prom season,
Footloose was because the town
for
elders
religious reason,
had said no dancing. Dancing is bad. Can't do that. Whereas you organized the dance because
no drinking at the school dances.
Wait, no drink. Is that why you? I thought you organized it because you guys had a split, like certain.
We did, yeah. I was trying to. Yeah.
I didn't want
to. I thought the non-drinking thing would, or us wanting to drink at the dances was a better reason than.
I didn't want to scratch the dark underbelly of what assumption was.
Yeah, there were no social justice warriors
back in the day. So, but anyway, so good deal. If you can tell, if I feel or seem a bit more cultured to all
dude, tell me about it.
In podcast land. That's right. I attended my first, I shouldn't say my first opera because my son was in an opera about 2 years ago, and he actually played
your first one that you had no justifiable reason to go to.
Correct. But it helped. So my wife and I, along with my oldest, who's the theater guy, checked out Don Giovanni. I actually learned that I've been saying it wrong all this time. it's not. I've been saying it Don Giovanni because that's
Right. That's how I would say it.
Nope. And you know how I know that one? Because we got there early enough. They do before the creative director or some dude of the Houston Grand Opera. And I'm just feeling the need to drink tea while I say this. It's so he comes out beforehand to anybody who wants to be there and gives a 20-minute almost lecture about, and it was actually, I felt like I should have got some college credit after it. I really do. I mean, it was educational. I was talking about Mozart and this guy Del Ponte. Hey, who wrote it and what and various things. And yeah, it was pretty. It was good. And then he said that the correct pronunciation is Giovanni, Don
Well,
Giovanni.
obviously, a lot of people must have, must say it wrong if
Correct.
that's a part of the deal.
We crass Americans apparently think that vowels mean something. We not we you
Well, we like to say Giovanni.
yeah, man. Why you put an O in there if you're not gonna say it? Of course, this
Yeah.
is coming from people with like
Right.
you. You have a name with the EAUX.
Yeah.
Like how you know what I'm saying? Here's what's funny. And it's not just you, but let's say Semino.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, from the N in your name, the rest of your name doesn't make the sound
No.
like you have 4 letters that basically do nothing. It's just
Had to use the rest of those vowels, man.
put all of that in there. Speaking of which, we got I didn't have this jotted down, but it just dawned on me when we were talking about names. So we got a high school graduate. Is that season? We got a high school graduation thing, and I got a card here, and I thought it was you. I thought it might have been your daughter.
Nope.
Okay.
Not till next year.
Okay, but I was like, all right. So I'm like, well, and I'm not gonna get into the name, but I recognize. Oh, maybe it's a relative of Juan. I'm like, where's it from? And I open it up. I'm like, who's this dude? Like, I don't know. So it must be somebody my wife knows. So leave it on the island in the kitchen. Later on, she gets back. She says, "Who's this?" I said, hey, thought that was you.
It's your third cousin's husband's nephew.
Not even. Man, it took us considerable amount of time just to try to like narrow it down, like the city. Who do you know in this city? Who is? And I think she figured out it's like the sister of a friend of hers who I don't think she's seen in 20 years. Probably hasn't spoken to. And so as a general rule, I know it's graduation season, guys. And we know the game. Everybody goes trolling. You bought all these invitations, you bought all these announcements. All right. And it's just trolling for dollars, right? You put them out there and hopefully somebody gets it and says, oh, let me cut a check. Let me send some money.
I would assume that now they put either a QR code or a Venmo address in there.
Well, this one didn't have that. That would be the surest way. Like if my own kin sent me something with that in, that'd be the surest way to not get anything. Not going to do that. But hey, as a general rule, y'all, if the person you're sending the quote unquote invitation to or announcement, it's not an invitation, it's an announcement.
Right.
Has never met this kid. Did not know you had this kid. Didn't know that you're probably reaching. It's probably not.
I'm not into that. And I can assure you, next year at this time, you will not be receiving a graduation.
Oh, I expect to. Dude, I talk to you more than I talk to any of my family members.
I just don't like this and here's what we end up doing. If it's somebody I know, it's a relative's kid or whatever, I'm not going shopping. I'll stick a check in there and send it out. If it's somebody I kind of know, then it'll sit on what I call the little side island, like the countertop above the junk drawer. It'll sit there for a few weeks until I clear off the top of that counter, and then I'll decide it's sat here long enough that I can throw it away. It doesn't matter. They're not expecting anything now. Yeah, like it's been 3 weeks. They're not getting anything.
Well, that's just the one we got this year. We got one a year or two.
I like the ones who send you pictures and you don't know who they are.
That was it. No, this dude had a picture
of the kid.
Picture of the dude. I'm like, I had no idea this human being existed, or who the parents are, or the only thing that threw it off was, okay, they've got my home address, which apparently is not that hard to find, but that's what we got. Yeah, we got graduation season, getting hit hard this time, man. I got two godchildren graduating.
See, I don't think I know anybody.
Well,
I mean, well, we might.
I
We
got I
might.
got I
Some of
got
the
two godchildren and one nephew. So yeah, it's an expensive.
break it out, man. Break it out.
I know, but you do what you can. But anyway, we're talking about the opera.
Yeah.
So
So was it all in? It wasn't in English.
no, bro,
All right.
no. Like once that professor, that dude stopped talking, like once he finished up with enjoy Don Giovanni, blah 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 blah. That's the last English you hear coming from that area, and in fact, period. And it's all in Italian.
And could
Um,
you follow I'm
now
sure there's a story to it. I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
an
yeah, yeah. There's a very
opera.
famous. It's a very. I mean, it's the character is some version of Don Juan. It's the famous what's the word I'm looking for? You want to say the lover, but the
The
seducer of
ladies'
women.
man.
Ladies, he's the ladies' man. And thankfully, I knew the story from the fact my son played this a couple of years ago, an English version.
Yeah.
So I knew the story, or basically the story. And so you watch this here, and uh, on top, and it's a huge. If you ever been, the Houston Opera it's massive. It's just this big, and we were way up front. Because my thing was, here's the other thing: no amplification. There's no mics, right? There's a full symphony. The
So
orchestra side.
not
Orchestra.
even like is a stage mic'd at all?
No, bro.
Wow.
It's so you got the orchestra pit. So I say
Uh-huh.
symphonies, but I mean it's pretty. A lot of musicians down there. I could have tossed an M&M into. I was close enough to the orchestra pit to, if I'd have felt so obliged, I could have tossed an M&M in there.
Right in the French horn.
Yep. And the stage is pretty dang big, but that's the acoustics of the place. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so I wanted to be up close enough to be able to see. I wanted to see like facial expressions and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. If you're gonna go there, it's more
But if
expensive.
you,
But
if you can't understand the words, you might as well see what you can get.
exactly. It's not like a concert. These days, you can go to a concert or a football game, NFL game, and you're basically sucking up the ambiance and watching the game on a big
Watching a
screen
replay. Mm-hmm.
with about 60,000 other people. But this is not that. But on the very top of the stage, there is, and I forget what they call it. I should remember it, but they'll put the lyrics or some of the words, some of the dialogue in English, so you
Okay.
can follow along. And it was pretty funny.
Now is all of the dialogue sung?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, but that was sort of the play my son was in. Everything was sung.
Yeah.
Everything was, and I forget what you call that. But anyway, so
It's like at my church, man. They got the words to the song on the screen.
man, look, so
Karaoke.
you're sitting there, and I'm playing that game. I'm looking around, saying, "What other yawns are here?" What's the average age of everybody here in the first, I don't know, 10 rows of this place? I think we're on row 4.
You got to dress up to go to the opera?
You should. I mean, a lot of people that it covered the gamut. Nobody was dressed in, nobody had on a wife beater and shorts, put it that way. But I mean, there were some women there in formal.
Yeah.
My son and I wore suits. Most of, a couple of youngins came in. They had a couple of young ladies sat next to us. Lots of piercings, interesting colored
Oh,
hair. But
artsy.
somebody artsy. That's right. But that's just kind of funny, man. I'm sitting there going, shaking my head, saying, "It's a long way from cut off Louisiana, man. What am I doing sitting here to bring? Let me pretend like I belong." And it was good. Don't get me wrong, but dude, it's 3+ hours. Okay,
They got an intermission at
they
least.
do have a 30-minute. They do have a 30-minute intermission, but
But if I'm
man,
there for 3 hours, I may as well skip the intermission.
so I would have voted for that, right?
Yeah.
So it starts, and look, it's good, man. It's fine, and the staging is amazing. I can't even describe the staging with the big house that rotates, and it's constantly, the stage is almost one of the characters, and the projection onto the stage is amazing. I read after in the book, whoever did that, he's a guy that He does. He's done video work and concerts with like U2,
Oh
Adele,
wow.
Rihanna. He did stuff with the FIFA World Cup. I mean, so the guy, you know what I'm saying? And that's the
Yeah,
thing.
he's big
It's
time.
legit. Like outside of New York, I mean, they argue that Houston has the biggest theater operation. I mean, and it's full blown. So it was awesome. But here's the deal. Man, that first act goes about buck 45, man. I mean, and I didn't, thankfully, I didn't have to go. I didn't really have to go to the bathroom bad, that kind of stuff. And I'd got me a wine. So you have to buy the cup with the lid on it.
Nothing says you're classy like I got me a wine.
I got me a wine, bro. Dude, I'm like, and so I got me mine. Hey, my son had a beer. Okay. I said, so we're caging it, here. I think my wife had a wine as well. We're enjoying our refreshments for the first hour 45 of this thing. Gets to the intermission and they go, and I was like, I hadn't eaten. It was rough because the timing of the day was, so I'm like, I'll get a snack or something. So I got M&Ms. So, so the second act, big bag of M&Ms too. Second act, I'm just popping regular M&Ms, drinking red wine, like a, like a, I wish they'd have had,
Interesting pairing.
yeah, well, not bad, actually, not bad. I mean, it's really good for your diabetes. I wish they'd have sold pork rinds or something. They did sell Doritos, and I thought, I just felt that M&Ms was a little more sophisticated,
Quieter.
than a big old bag of Doritos. But there you go. But yeah, so it was.
Yeah. So if you wouldn't have known the story,
I'd have been lost like a son of a gun.
but is it enjoyable enough to just appreciate the music?
Yeah, the singing is amazing, man. For those of you that have never been, and here's the deal. And my son loved it, but that's his world. They love that
Yeah.
stuff. And everybody who opened their mouth on that stage was a better singer than any band you've seen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just on pure talent. I mean, the vocal talent of these people is just unbelievable. That said, I can't help being me. I'm sitting there editing this thing in my head as it goes along. I'm like, everybody's got an aria. Hey, how you like that? An aria,
Ah.
which to me means that's just a solo. But it goes a while, and I'm thinking you could take 2 or 3 minutes off of each one of these hours. I could have easily edited about, man, a
You didn't
solid.
need the full-on drum solo.
Yeah, I could have edited minimum 30, probably 45 minutes off the entire thing. But the other thing I realized is, okay, this is pretty much this act, this performance and the script and the music. I mean, it goes back to Mozart, man. They don't change a
Mhm.
note. Mozart,
Yeah.
this was Mozart's work. And in the day when they did these things, people probably traveled for several days on donkey.
Right. And it's like, probably didn't have a whole lot of else to
That's
do.
right. They'd be mad. They'd be mad if they showed up and like, bruh.
Not like you're watching saying, man, the
Exactly. You don't
ball
gotta
game starts
watch.
in 30 minutes, man. I got to get tip off.
Yeah, it's all you're gonna do. So I guess they probably judged stuff back then by the length, like a 3 hour attention. Let's just put it this way. I think attention spans were a little different back in
Right.
the
You had
day.
no distractions.
But there you go. So I can notch that and say I have now been to an official opera. Unless my son is singing in one, I don't think I'm gonna be doing
Yeah,
it again.
nice. Good on you, man.
Yeah. But so yeah, I've got cultured. Is what
Well,
it is.
here's some non-culture stuff. My HOA has a new lawn service. Um, and I don't, yeah, right behind my house I call it a creek. It's not a bayou. It's not a canal. I think it's,
Call it what you want.
right. It's got a curve in it, so I don't necessarily think it's man-made. But anyway, the lawn service typically cuts grass down to the edge, down to the water line.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, it's not real steep or anything, and they hadn't for a bit. And so I was home the other day, and I saw them back there. So I went to say, "Hey, man, this is where y'all, I'm not your boss, but the guys before y'all used to cut here. So I don't know what the scope of your work is, but typically it's cut down there and cut down here.
No,
Just
no.
FYI.
Yeah. So were you hablo in the Espanol or were these
No, no,
English
no.
speakers?
They were English speakers.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
um,
Good luck with
first
that
and
around here. Good luck with that
first,
around here.
first and only, and maybe not quite, that well. Uh, but he said, yeah, they told us that, but I saw a snake down there, so I'm not going down there.
Got to be kidding me.
And I said, dude, this is like a water snake. Nothing. No, it's a copperhead. I said, I'm telling you, dude, you didn't see a copperhead right there.
Oh,
You
jeez.
you got a big industrial weed eater in your
No
hand.
joke.
If you
No,
get scared, yeah. Not condoning killing the snake because the snake is harmless.
give it a chance to get away. It will get away.
Right, right. It's not like it's charging you with a gas operated tool in your hand.
So when you got to tell somebody like that, hey, hey, this job you do for a living, you know how
Yeah,
many snakes you don't see?
right.
You know how
That's
many
what I
snakes?
said. Who cuts neighborhood lawns like that in Louisiana? Who's scared of snakes?
Apparently, your guy.
Yeah. So
That or he's just got a built-in excuse for doing
I don't know,
a
but
half-butt job.
well, the HOA elections are coming up, and
Boy,
I'm running.
no, you're not.
I am.
You. Oh, I think we have an announcement here, ladies and gentlemen.
A dude asked me to run. He asked me if he could nominate me. I said, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Don't get your feelings hurt if you lose, okay?
Well, that's why I didn't want to do it because I
Yeah.
said, how embarrassing would this be? But there's 6 spots on the board, and only 6 people are running.
Oh, okay. You got one of those.
Right?
You
Because if another one pops up, I'm out. I'm not running that risk.
Yeah, that's what tends to happen, man. The people that like being on the HOA, they're like our own Congress people. You can't
Yeah,
get rid of
yeah.
them. You got to really organize and do some work.
Well, that's the whole thing. They're like a core group of 4. Then they try to find somebody else. So the neighborhood Nazi doesn't get on the board.
I got you. Well, and you got to see some. I think some might not start out being the neighborhood, as you say, Nazi, but
Yeah.
they turn into it once they get a little
Yeah.
once they get a little power. I mean,
then it's like the company, the HOA management company or whatever, sends me this form and says, "Oh, we need a bio. Can you just send us a bio and stuff?" So I sent them something. And they send it back, said, "Oh, your thing's like 180 words. It really needs to be about 100 words." So first of all, that would have been good to tell me
no joke, huh?
straight up first time.
No joke. If there's a strict word limitation,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah, but it's like 100 words.
I take 100 words just to describe my morning. What are you talking about?
Right? I didn't say anything, and
I thought I was giving you guys the abbreviated version. You have no
exactly.
idea how actually accomplished I am. You may know me from the Dave and Juan
Exactly. I didn't
full-time
even that
podcast.
wasn't even in the 180 word
It
version.
is the official unofficial podcast of the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
As
So,
not proclaimed by the governor, who,
no.
I'm sure that you're going to get around to it before.
Right. He's got to finish those other important things he's working on.
Well, there you go. Good luck. So, like my brother-in-law, like I said, he took over his HOA a while back. It's a big one, so I don't know. I don't know if it's one of those things like how long he intends to do it. If it's sort of the tiger that once you start riding it, you can't get off
Yeah. Well,
because
that's when they're gonna get off.
you won't get off.
Yeah.
Make the meetings.
One term and done.
Something to add to the resume, Juan.
Yeah.
Member of the HOA.
Yeah. That could be a critical strike on the resume.
When you say that, let me pull this up here while you're talking. It must be HOA season because my wife sent me this yesterday. I was doing some work here. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, I guess it's in our magazine that comes out. Our
Man, you got a
neighborhood,
magazine?
bruh. Come on, of course. we're in High Cotton. I don't know. I'm in the oldest neighborhood in this part of town. It's not the wealthy neighborhood. It's the old school.
It's the most established.
It's all right. I like our neighborhood. It's it is held up well, but it's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
And now my neighborhood is sort of like regenerating. We moved here with the little kids. We've been here a while now, and some of my older neighbors have moved, and younger families are here. And geez, man, we got kids everywhere now, which is my wife loves that. We're so different on this kind of stuff. Me and my wife loves kids riding bikes all the time and all this. But I'm pointing out that our neighbors across the street, all them son of a guns can drive now, and all their friends can drive. And high schoolers don't drive well.
No.
They don't respect limits. And my wife would say, "Well, what did you do when you were young?" I said, "I'm not young. I'm that guy now."
I did just like them, except in a much smaller geographic
Yeah,
area.
she tells me that all the time. Like my sons, what did you do? Hey, that's seems irrelevant to the point. That's not what I'm trying to get. But so anyway,
But we had a kid in the neighborhood this week, I guess, who, and there was a big brouhaha on the neighborhood Facebook page because, cops were in the neighborhood and it was apparently it was senior skip out day. So one young fella brings a few of his friends over and they're hanging out at the pool. And a few of the friends called a few of the friends who called a few friends who called a few friends who called a few friends. And all of a sudden there's like 75 kids
that doesn't
at the
work.
pool.
That doesn't work. That's called stupidity.
So, and then somebody freaked out and called the cops. And so they're all.
I got news for you. That may have been me if it had happened in mine.
Like I said,
That's nonsense. Yeah. But here's why. Because look, I have thrown this theory out, and I think it's beyond theory. I think it's been proven. As you add teenagers to the group, the average IQ goes down.
Well, because you get people who, again, it goes back to the whole graduation announcement thing. Somebody who you don't know is going to come, and and then it's going to be people who don't care if they're getting you in trouble or anything.
That's right. And you go from having 2, 3, 4, a handful of friends hanging out, enjoying themselves to, hey, let me try to impress this person by how stupid I can be here.
Yeah.
And let me show off to this girl, or let me do whatever. Oh, I don't like that one. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
I did hear though that they were very respectful when the police got there. They cleaned up after themselves and apologized. So.
There you go. And all the time I've lived here, I've only chased down, got in my car, and went find one guy. And it was about the third or fourth time. This was years ago, man. This young guy would come by, and I don't know if he lived on the next street or if he had just a friend there. And about the third or fourth time, the same truck that I saw would just going way too fast in the neighborhood, way too sharp around the turn in front of my house. And, so yeah, I got in my car and I went find him. And it was just one of those. I think stunned. I got to pulled up on the side of him, put my window down. I just said, "Hey, bro, you know what the speed limit is in this street?" No, sir.
Yeah.
You want to learn it? You want to?
Yeah, not nearly as fast as you were going.
And he's like, I'm sorry. So, all right, man. And I just left it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, and that's exactly how you do it. You don't have to like go.
Yeah.
No, if you'd have had a dude, we'd have had an issue. But it's like, no, just hey, I just want you to.
Yeah, I did that. We have kids who ride around on golf carts, and they'll take the corner in the outside lane when you're coming up, and so basically they're whipping it around and in your lane.
Yeah.
And I stopped one time. I said, "Look, I saw y'all coming from a distance. Now, what would happen if I didn't? Because I didn't have a stop sign. I said I'd just round the corner in my lane."
We live in a different time because, again, growing up, every parent or non-parent, adult, pretty much had full reign to yell at somebody in the street or you pull over and say, "Hey," But now it's like people. My attitude's always been, "Hey, if you don't want to parent your kids, I can help." I mean, I'm not going to lay hands on anybody, but I will gladly call it out. But we have neighbors.
I did one teenager like what you're talking about, just speeding through, running stop signs, and I pull up behind him and say, "Hey, buddy, you kind of be careful. There's kids on the street in here." I said, "You were just like flying through here, whipping around the corners."
Exactly right.
And the response was, "Are you a cop?" I said, "Yeah, no, I can see this conversation is going nowhere."
As a matter of fact, I'm an undercover detective.
Right.
Pull over.
It was going to
over.
be just a warning, but now you're coming
Exactly. You know, as far as I'm not a cop, but I'm armed. Where do you want to
in.
citizens arrest you? But we have, I wonder about that. So we have some folks that live on another street. And I'm pointing this way for those of you that, because that means something,
right.
right? Over that way. Younger
Out
kids.
towards me.
Yeah, younger kids. And I don't think they're quite feral children. You know what I call feral? They're just always out with it. But you can look at some kids from the jump and realize, okay, there's not a heck of a lot of common sense. Now, common sense comes later. It comes to us all at different times. And you can tell some kids are a little bit more daredevilish than they're probably ready to be. And these kids ride bikes, and I guess they don't like riding, they like racing. They just like zooming up and down the street. And they do it right up to the corner of my house. And my house, I have a big flower bed with a big oak tree. It's a blind spot on a corner, right? And I know because I'm the guy watching this saying, okay, I've got idiot teenage drivers in vehicles that don't slow down, that don't pay attention. And now I got 9 and 10-year-olds or younger riding their bikes top speed right up to that intersection. And I mean, I don't want to see the future, but I can see that's a potential for, and I told my wife saying, well, it's none of your business. I'm like, yeah, what's going to happen when one of them gets hit and thrown into my yard? You think they're going to?
All right. Or when you're the one who's driving and the accident involves you.
Well, so there you go. I need to get on my HOA. But I was talking about HOA. So my wife, the magazine's looking for people on various committees. And what's the one she wants me to sign up for? She even took a picture and circled it. This is you. She thinks I should be on the neighborhood street light liaison. A neighborhood.
And what does that person do? Is that you call the power company to get your light if the street lights out?
I gotta look into that. I don't know. I might look to add street light liaison to the curriculum vitae of Dave. You know, why not? I'm a light guy. I am though. I drive. I mean, I do. I notice lights. I'm like, that one's out. That one needs to be replaced. So who knows? Well, that's an old guy thing when your wife's saying, hey, you need to get on the street light committee.
Y'all got a lot of committees, man.
Dude, I'll show up with a PowerPoint.
based on the location of this light, the illumination should be this as opposed to this.
I hope you guys blocked out the next 20 minutes of the agenda because
we talking about lighting, the importance
I've got a
of lighting.
15-slide PowerPoint on
lighting that is consistent with the new government regulations towards lighting.
As your new liaison, I'm here to get you all up to speed on the street light situation of our neighborhood. I want to go back to those curly light bulbs with the mercury in them that they made us all buy a few years back.
Yeah. Where those go?
I was thinking about that the other day because I still have a few of those lights somewhere in this house. In other words, like in closets and stuff that you don't use all that often, so you just forget about.
Yeah.
And so like there's a closet in the far guest room on our second floor that it's like a walk-in closet. You turn that light on, and that's when I always remember because it sort of takes about 5 seconds for that closet to fully illuminate because of that bulb. And every time it happens, I'm reminded of they stopped making the good light bulbs. And they made us buy those for a few years until they figured out, or I don't know how they couldn't figure this out, that, there's mercury and really toxic stuff in these things. You think Americans who don't listen to anything anyway are going to properly dispose or are going to send these to the proper landfill?
Look, man, see that light right there and that light bulb and that lamp right there?
Mm-hmm.
How long we've been doing this podcast? 3 years, a little over 3 years.
Yeah.
That light had been on since we started doing this podcast.
No joke.
I don't think it's ever got turned off.
I'm guessing it's a
old style, whatever. Yeah.
It's a what?
It's a old regular kind of no fancy light bulb. Yes.
Not the kind that gets hot. Like a regular.
No, it's hot. I don't know. I'd have to stick my hand up there.
Yeah, you're going to get burned.
Nah, it's not hot. But I mean,
yeah, okay.
it's one of the
modern bulbs. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. The house in Thibodeau, my mom's house, I put 2 bulbs in the outdoor front, the front doors, the
Mm-hmm.
lantern things on the outside. And I put a piece of tape over the light switch inside. Just said people just leave them on all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like 2 years. They've been on for 2 years. Every time we go home, every few months or whatever, I'm like, hey, look at that.
Yeah. You
That's
talk
some
about
good
the
money right
types,
there.
the types of lights that need to or that take a while to come on. One of the most Baton Rouge things ever. Um, it's been it's probably been 20 years, but they, put lights on the Mississippi River Bridge, because that would bring business to downtown. Because I'd always
100%.
said, if look, I'd open a business downtown. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of crime down there, but if they throw some lights on the bridge,
I
that'd be
didn't
it.
even know. I didn't even
Yeah.
know the bridge was there till you put a light on it.
So if they do some big event, it might have been like the 4th, I think it was the 4th of July. So they had the big fireworks show down on the river. And the culmination was, boom, they're gonna light the bridge. They didn't realize, or nobody figured out, that it takes, 3 or 4 minutes for those lights to kind of warm up and flicker on. Flip the switch, no lights.
But eventually there was lights.
Yeah, there was. But by that
Eventually.
time the businesses were flourishing because everybody was there.
There you go. I don't know that I'll call that the most Baton Rouge of Baton Rouge
Yeah.
things because
Yeah.
nobody was caught in the crossfire, but that'll work.
Yeah, there were people getting killed. It just wasn't in direct
Just
relation to
wasn't
that
there.
event.
What? Totally get you. Totally get you. I don't know. We're just talking about Baton Rougean kind of things. This is a California kind of thing here. I had to read. I had to actually click on the column and read it to make sure I understood that this was for true. In Dublin, California, the county of Dublin. It's around the Bay Area. So the
Go
the epi,
figure.
the epicenter of sanity is the Dublin Unified School District. And next year, from the grades 6th grade to senior 12th grade, they're changing their grading uh, philosophy. They're going to have what they call equity grading.
Ah,
Now, you kind of figure, what does that mean? Well, first of all, there are no Fs. There are no Fs.
why would there be?
You cannot fail. Don't show up, stab somebody, set fire to your desk. Cannot fail. Hard to make a D. Hard to make a D, but almost impossible to make an A. In other words, if your average is 98, 99, that gets brought down to a B. So everybody
Yeah.
in their system, whether you are a scholar trying to earn your way, poor families trying
It's
to,
kind of like the wealth thing,
and so think about that. So whether you are the hardest working, smartest student there is, and let's face it, most folks are not going to get 100 averages. Okay. See, if you're a student with a 97, 98 average, that's a solid freaking A, right? No, you don't get an A. You get a B.
what's the rationalization? It's just to make it fair.
Make it fair. That way you don't have, forget that bell curve and stuff like that. You want everybody to. Now,
We don't want everybody to learn. We just want everybody to feel good about learning.
it doesn't take 2 people with, I mean, you can have a 90 IQ and be drunk and figure out that this makes no sense at
Right.
all. Okay. But that's coming. That's coming. And here's my thing. All the jokes aside, they get to vote. The people that get
Right. That's your future leaders, people.
how does, at some point, and not all of California. California's got some great points, parts, but but there you go. Equity grading. Equity.
Nice.
Nice.
I think we talked about it may have just been something that we shared back and forth in text, but Baton Rouge was looking, or maybe Louisiana across the board, was looking at starting school later to help with truancy. Because one of the reasons kids are late for school and don't perform well in school is because they're not getting a good enough night's sleep.
That's being argued, or that's being
considered.
Just start school later.
Right. That solves the problem, man.
Huh. Well, what time do they start school now?
8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Okay, hang on now. There's a difference. See, when we started school, I think it was 8. I think it was 8. Because I know when they starting school at 7:30. That's early, man. I'm sorry. That's
Yeah, some of the private schools here start later. Like my daughter's school starts at 7:50.
okay. Yeah. But they
But here's the whole deal. We can argue whether
that's not the problem.
right, right. That ain't
That is
solving no problem.
not the problem. These kids were not home, milking the cows and slopping the pigs and didn't have time
Exactly. Yeah.
to and their lack of sleep or whatever has nothing to do with but then you'd have to be extend later on into the day, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
right. Yeah, that won't
Yeah.
cause any other issue.
Right. And I think most times, if you think about it, the school time somewhat coincides with the parents' work time. So, I
Yes.
get the kids off to school. If I'm driving them to school, then I go to work. But then did you hear about the school district in Utah where there was a middle school that was protesting because they have, quote unquote, furries at their school?
I did not delve deeply into that, but I did see yes, that
Yeah.
was
And
an
for those
issue.
of you who don't know, furries are people who feel that they are some type of animal, and so they dress up as such and act it out. Move around on all fours. Some of them will eat out of a bowl with their mouth,
Mhm.
like an animal would. And these kids are scratching and hissing at the other kids, barking or meowing at them. And
You know, now probably because of what to say, we growing up did not deal with such a thing.
no,
Why?
you talk about you want
You
you wouldn't have made it far.
you'd have got you'd have got the dog snot kicked out. Like, are you kidding me? Like that would have been a you know,
That'd have been an understandable butt whooping.
you'd have fixed that. Like the just regular student body would have fixed that problem.
Yeah. Yeah, the good student would have taken care of that. We don't need just the bullies.
But that's and again, I'm not going to get into all that's part of what
Yeah.
we're doing now, folks. We're not here's the deal. We are not simply putting up with these days ridiculous behavior.
Right. We're
Some
encouraging it.
some would say mentally disturbed behavior.
We're participating.
We are both creating it because you create it.
Hmm.
Kids, and I mean, again, we're not going to get into all the. But it's kind of funny. Finally, there's some pushback. People are waking up to the fact, and what do they want? Kids want various things, but they want attention. They like being celebrated. They like feeling protected. All these things, and wherever you fall into, when you start just taking, hey, say this or behave a certain way or take this bizarro, and you are now shielded or sell. That's what you are going to get, but it shouldn't be that much of a problem because as it looks like we're not going to be around here as a society much longer anyway because but some and forgetting all the World War stuff they're trying to start and maybe touch on that before we leave. But I saw this and it jumped out because it was a stat from 1993, which was the year we were married, 1993. So in 1993, 60% of Americans, right, between the ages of 30 and 34. So, that's childbearing,
Hmm.
parenting, right? 60% of Americans in 1993 had at least one child. All right. Today, that's 27%
Yeah.
of and here's what's funny for those of you that aren't good with math, and I'm not claiming to be that good with math, that is bad.
Yeah.
That
We're not repopulating.
so on top of all the other lies, and we need to make a list one day. That'd be a PowerPoint that I need to put up about. Man, we can start the lie. Let's go back to just random lies, starting with the food pyramid. All right, that food pyramid that we all grew up, they were shoving down our face about, right? Eat a bunch of grains, eat a bunch of whatever, and meat. Like, okay, so that was just made us ill, made us fat, made us okay. That's so the food pyramid was a terrible one. Overpopulation. Newsflash, y'all. That's not our biggest danger. Our biggest danger is a collapsing population, which other countries have right now. Japan's in huge trouble. Japan, the average age in Japan is so old because they,
Oh,
right,
stop
happening
populating.
happening in China with their one child policy years and years ago, and it's happening to us, y'all. But it just is. You cannot.
Are there
Nothing
any
works.
theories here that because the world is so bad, people don't want to bring children into it?
No, we've you broke. I mean, if you want to get deep into it, hey guys, well, that's probably a subject for another podcast. But oh no, it's whether you believe it's a plan or not. They broke down to family. They broke down in America. We've lost the church for the most part. I mean, like as far as the structure of that
Yeah, traditional family is on
traditional
the
traditional
decline.
families. Just some would argue, and I think there's an argument to be made for how much we've messed up the economy, about how difficult it is to, the single income family is hard to find, right? It's so both parents basically having to work
Right.
oftentimes full time. That doesn't lend itself
Sometimes
off
two times.
to big families. And it's not just that; it's just the way I mean, in America, it really is a culture thing. We just sort of celebrate the freedom of not having kids and all this other stuff, and later on in life, again, everybody do their own thing, but it comes back there, man. We've seen that. We all come from big families, right? And my generation, we're not big families. We don't
Mm.
have nearly as many kids as
Right, right. I mean, I think about it. So, my dad had one, two, three, four, five,
I think your
seven
dad still
grandkids.
has siblings on the way. I think, man, them Seminoles are.
No, he's just trying to be the one out of his siblings that made it the longest.
Well,
Um,
he's doing a good job of it,
yeah. But I mean, I had guarantee you on each side of the family, I probably had 40 first cousins.
man. All right, we all,
Yeah, yeah. My kids have three.
hey, listen, and same thing. Like my kids, and goes both ways, right? I'm like, well, that's great, but man, I don't want my sons having babies right now. Like, man, look,
No,
we're
not
still.
yet. No.
But I was old. I was an old man. I mean, I was an old guy compared to most folks when let's see, my first son,
Yeah, I was close to 30.
I think I was 12. No, dude, I was 30. I was
I
32,
was, I
33.
was, I was almost 31.
I was 33. So by this standard, all right, I would have made it in here. I would have nailed this standard here. So
Mhm.
by the time I was 33, I had one. By the time I was 35, I had two. But there you go. So y'all, I don't know what to tell y'all. Y'all need to start having some babies. We need some babies. Oh, by the way, everything falls apart. Your Social Security, everything falls apart. You have fewer and fewer
So
people
somebody got to
working.
fund that.
It's a Ponzi scheme. No, I
Yeah,
don't know. We've talked about that before. The whole Social Security payment, it is a Ponzi scheme. It is one of the worst ripoffs in the history of.
right. It's probably the original Ponzi scheme.
Might be I don't know if it's the original, but it's definitely the biggest. It would not be such a Ponzi scheme if we didn't have crooks and idiots and thieves that have always run our government, because then that money you put in should have been set aside. That should not be able to be touched. That should be truly the America's nest egg, where you
Hmm.
pay into it and you get it out. But that's not what they do. They've been robbing from that fund. So it's basically set to go bank. I mean, we're not going to the apocalyptic stuff here, guys, but yeah, it's broken. I went down it was funny. I was listening to this week. Certain things happen where even if I wasn't planning on listening, I said, "Oh, I got to hear this." So Tucker Carlson was on Joe Rogan
I
this
saw
week.
a clip of it.
So I mean, it's 3+ hours, and a lot of people that are trying to be haters are like cutting certain things up, and they're trying to paint Tucker as something. And whatever, he's not right on everything, but he's honest. I love listening to the guy, and he goes out there. But he was talking about some other stuff of that you referenced that I've been seeing, and part of it was like the stuff still coming up with the Kennedy assassination, where they're basically admitting. That's the amazing thing to me. We grew up with this big lie about, it's the one guy. And I've been there. I've been to was it Dealey Plaza? I've been to the book depository.
Repository.
I've done the whole spiel where they tell you the freaking lie about how it happened. And I've stood on the grassy knoll or around there. I mean, you know, lies, man, just freaking. And now they're coming out and they're, they're, they're telling you without saying we're officially telling you that, yeah, that was all a story. So I start going down the path thinking, how can we believe anything? Any historical story we were taught, because you can see stuff in real time that's a lie that they're already saying is different than it actually is, right? So
You got to figure in the world now, people, politically, their job is to, you know, spin anything and everything, whether it's obvious a lie or whether it's, hey, I wonder if that's true. So you got it's
and
50
what's
people are telling the same story over and over again, and it becomes the truth.
and what happens is it goes on, and if you were told whatever it is, whether it was a current lie, and we've been told a lot of
Right.
current lies.
Whether you were told that the president's uncle was eaten by cannibals.
God damn, man. You know, I read clips sometimes of things that our beloved current president says, and I honestly oftentimes think, okay, somebody makes a joke, it's a meme, it's somebody having fun, and then you go and realize, oh no, he actually said that.
Well,
His uncle.
the story from the White House on that was that it was an emotional time for him, dealing with this loss, and so
Dealing with
the
the loss
cat.
of an uncle from decades ago?
Right, right. I'm sure he never knew him. So the reference to cannibalism was mostly symbolic. Symbolic of what?
Symbol. No, he didn't say symbol. He said
Uh,
cannibal.
Right,
He
right.
said
But
that
it's like,
area.
so what is that to symbolize? That he's nuts?
For those of you saying, yeah, our president in some kind of conversation, which always ends up going down some personal,
Yeah,
he's
he's
like
got to connect everything to him.
he's like it's not Forrest Gump. It's who's the character that Ben Stiller played in that movie that basically they're in every story, and I can't remember what it is now, but yeah, it all comes back to that. So apparently he had an uncle that was shot down during some war and apparently was eaten by cannibals. Who knows?
Yeah,
Why not? Why not?
good
So
a story as any.
there you go. But so yeah, the stories are out there, and because what happens is once you either buy into a lie or just that's just what that's what I was told. You feel stupid later on to feel like you were tricked. Okay, it's just human nature. We don't like being told or learning that we've been fooled, so we will fight to
Proving
pretend
that we weren't. Yeah.
the lie that we've been buying into is true. And that's what ends up happening. There's some people you can flat out, it's like if they tell you, oh, yeah, that was totally made up. There's nothing. What was the Norm Macdonald line? I've been reading a lot of history, and it turns out good guys always won.
Yeah.
Right? You get to write your own stuff, but that's going on.
History is written by the winners.
Exactly. Speaking of the winners, congratulations to Ukraine. They won again. Not the
Yeah.
war. Not the war. They're
No,
not going to win
no.
that. That's going to
Yeah, because the other day, the I guess in the House or the Senate, they were all waving Ukraine
Ukraine
flags,
flags. That's right. If you
which
would
to
have
me
thought
is just the predecessor of waving white flags.
America, there you go. So your government, your elected officials in one of the houses of Congress, as various rules were avoided and broken, and hey, Louisiana, thanks for Mike Johnson.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
good guy,
Keep
good guy.
keep sending us your best. Him and Cassidy and Foghorn Leghorn, that guy. What's his my man Canada? Yeah. Wow. Wow. But if I'd have told you, if I'd have given you a quiz, hey, some flag waving broke out in a House of Congress and they're waving flags, you would have hoped, gee, maybe they're waving
Yeah.
American flags, or maybe they're celebrating the LSU gymnast team who just won. Or maybe we're all celebrating Angel Reese. For some reason, we're supposed to celebrate her, even though she wasn't even the first person picked for the team she's going to and wasn't the best player on her team. Don't get me started on that. Maybe we're just waving Angel Reese. No, Caitlin Clark. No, we're waving Ukrainian flags in Alaska. So there you go.
Yeah, so we're sending their government more money. Yeah, there's
Chip
after they
Roy had a
look.
good line. Yeah, go ahead.
What's
Sorry.
that? No, go
But
ahead.
Chip Roy pointed out that of 100, we've already sent anywhere between 110. And the fact that we don't even know exactly if it's been like 110 or 125 billion dollars so far, they can only account for about 45 of it. About 2/3 of the money is that we have sent there. We don't know where. Well, they know where it's at. We don't know.
Yeah, here let's try this on the flip side. You know, you own your own business. You know, we talked last week about taxes. Let's say you claim to have spent a lot of money on business expenses.
Right.
You take that as deductions and to lessen your tax burden. Only a couple of years, they come back on you and say, "Where'd that money go?" You say, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it was used for the right purposes."
Right. I was busy.
All right, good. Yeah, here's a little Ukrainian flag. Wave that, and all will be
Wave
good.
that sucker around. I
Yeah,
saw a
see how
guy
that
the other
flies
day.
with the IRS.
Yeah, a guy the other day with a meme was going down this stuff about all the trillions we can't account for and blah 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 blah. But hey, let you forget to right to report the $150 you made on
Right,
what
right, right. Somebody sends you $700 to repay you for something through Venmo. You better claim that, baby.
you as a U.S. citizen need to account for your stuff to the penny.
Yeah.
While the people collecting all the stuff, hey man,
They ain't gonna tell you how they spent theirs.
man, we're busy. We're busy saving the world. You think we have time to account for all this stuff? Come on, man. Get over yourself.
So,
Get over yourself.
let me tell you a story about a government worker who is accounting for money. So, we talked last week about the fact that it's leap testing time at school. My wife teaches special needs kids who tend to, not always be quiet when you tell them to be quiet.
Right.
So they're going on countless field trips this past week and this coming week.
Sounds like a
just
win-win.
to keep them out of there. So they went to the airport this week.
Nice.
Right? See some planes. Well, airport's also got a police station there for the airport police. So they bring them there. And the guy who is, I guess, the gentleman who is, conducting the field trip starts talking about, he shows them a taser and he starts talking about the taser and explains to them that taser is like Kleenex. It's really a generic name. Taser is a brand name. I didn't know this. The device has some other name. But
Okay.
he's telling them how much tasers cost, how many tasers they have at the airport police department, how many tasers the Baton Rouge Police Department has, how much money they've spent on that. Same with the New York Police Department. Again, special needs children. Some of which are nonverbal.
Okay. But they are being educated on tasers.
Right, let's go. Yeah, I'm sure when they get home, they're all going to tell their parents about how much a taser cost and that it's not really a taser. The taser is just a brand name.
Hey, man.
I said the better part of that would have been if you'd have tased somebody.
Look. They might have got a better education that day than I guarantee you they got a better education than the people in freaking Dublin County, California. You know what? That's some valuable information. You know what I'm saying? That might be the best way to handle schooling. It's like, what we're gonna do today, y'all? We're gonna go drive around and we're just gonna find people at work and let them explain random things about what they do. That would be useful. That would be my kind of school. What you learned today? How deep you have to dig a fence hole? That'd be good to know. Right? That'd be good stuff like that. That'd be,
Yeah, that's how I learned how to.
Here's what I can tell you. I don't know how many of those kids, you said they're special needs kids. If there were any autistic kids in that group, I promise you that information was learned.
Getting repeated.
It will be shared. And I'm telling you, 10 years from now, they'll be doing something. And that one of these kids will be able to say, hey, that's not actually a taser. That's a such and such
Name
taser,
brand.
whatever. And, back 10 years ago, this is what they cost in Louisiana. Now, it might be different now. I'm telling you, man. There you go. Well, you know what? I actually got to go to church. So I know America, as much as I'd like to hang around a bit longer, I got to go get me some.
I spent my 6.5 hours there today.
I got to go get, man. I know you. I was thinking about that. I complain when church goes above an hour 15. I'm 3.5 hours into an opera, but I don't drink wine and eat M&Ms during church. So there you go. We're gonna push the button. Get on out of here. See if this stuff stuck to the magic tape in the sky. We hope it did. Hey, if you want to reach us, y'all, we ain't hard to find. It's Dave and Juan at protonmail.com. And
everywhere else, right
here.
Here
You go, man.
See us? You see where we are? You hear where we are? That's where we are.
You might be listening on iHeart. You might be on Apple. You might be on the Facebook.
You could be on that Spotify.
The Spotify is always a good one. You may be watching this on the YouTube, enjoying the monotone, the monotone
monochromatic, our monochromatic.
That's true.
Stylings.
Tone monotone. Come on, Martin. Step it up. Step it up. Monochromatic stylings. We brought you this week, but hey, every week we don't implore, we don't ask, we don't suggest, y'all. No. It is it's a freaking mandate. A freaking mandate. Get out there. Hey, take your best shot, y'all. Live your best life. Take your own field trips.
Right. If you're in school in California, do better. Don't worry about it. Even if you get a B for getting an A, still try to get an A.
Get that damn A. Get that A so you can explain later on to somebody else. Yeah, I got a B. I got a 98 B because I went to the dumbest place in the world of school, but hey, what you gonna do? So anyway, get out there, live your best life. Let's get back together next week and chat about it, shall we? All right.
That's right.
I'm off this week to I'm in West Virginia. I'll give you stories.
Oh, wow.
Going to the Greenbrier.
Country road, baby. Take me home.
Oh, I'm gonna have to pop that on Spotify when I get there. A little John Denver coming in there, but be back next weekend, and then I got a beer fest on Saturday. Let me think. Oh yeah, we definitely we'll line up when the next one. We'll get one of these done before next week, though. I promise you that, guys. All right, everybody. Until then, have a fantastic week. Love you, bro.
Back at you, man. My son went to Grand Isle yesterday, and I'm thinking it's probably the first time he went. So he stopped by the house to pick up some fishing poles. And I said, "Are you driving all the way there? Or are y'all meeting up somewhere?" He said, "Oh, we're meeting in Boot."
Be sure to stop at one of the local stores and say, "Am I close to Boot?"
Yeah, I said, "Man, you're killing your Cajun heritage right here. Stop it in Boot."
It's over. Go home.